And we're live and we're on time. And I'm going to check my audio, get everybody coming on in. Welcome, welcome. It is October 25th, 2024. I had to actually, last evening, we were out for my mother's birthday. I had to ask, was it 2024 or 2025 yet? I've started to lose track. Let's see if I got some audio. Fantastic. All right. Good morning, everybody who's going to pile in. Good morning. Good morning. Today, I have a reference that I'm not sure if the mic is going to pick this up because I don't have my mixer on. Many of you had asked me in a private email. Good morning, Sharon. They asked me in a private email, do you think anybody knows the reference of my 3 automations? Anyway, it was from the My Three Sons show, which, like many of the Gen X stuff, is locked into my brain. And I don't know why. I think times were simpler then, but that's kind of a reflection on what we're going to talk about today, because shockingly, I am spending more time today showing people what to take out than to put in. When it comes to marketing automation, the things that we really want to do are reducing complexity, reducing the amount of automation that makes things feel impersonal, because the only thing that you've got, that's all you got, is your humanity, man. When you think of how you'll communicate with your customers today, your prospects today, and we're going to go through the step by step. I've actually prepared something for you guys. It's not going to be by they give you their email and you send them 20 drip email messages. That's not going to work, because most people today already have 550,000 things in their email box, and they can't stand one more thing from you or me. So we have to shrink that concept down to as simple as text messaging. Hey, there's something new here for you. Hey, there's something you should have done. Hey, this is going on at the moment. And then you send them to the deliverable, which is going to be inside of your WordPress website using LaunchKit components. The recipes for this, and the reason I'm showing you this and sharing you with you, is because I have real world evidence, not only from my own experience, but also from the last several years of thousands of clients. This year alone, have dozens and dozens of clients that just blew me away with how well they're doing, like I mentioned last Friday. And we're doing it by eliminating 90% of the junk that they used to do, 90% of this junk that their marketing automation and SEO people told them to do in the past, because game over, it's changed. And I can explain this to you today in a couple ways. Let's dive into this, because today is action packed. I want to explain to you that I've been progressing with, again, slowly but surely as I go, with the ingredients we need, but I'm also doing recipes. So for those of you who wish to follow along today, you can follow me. This is the recipe, and this is, as I say, building it on the fly. And then it links to, as you'll see me reference, the ingredients. And the concept for me is, I'm going to be able to do these live events and give you documentation that is essentially self-help, and it requires me to think about what to throw out, not what to add in. So today, we're going to talk about the essential marketing automations for e-commerce or membership sites. You could use it for anything for that matter, but I mean, these are the ones that I focus on that allow you to automate your marketing while improving the customer engagement and sales. And the way you're going to do that is just like if you're talking to a friend. Hey, Sharon, I've got this great thing for you. Hold on 1 second. Let me go get like a 20,000 line long document to send you. And Sharon's eyes glaze over. She pets her cat, and then she throws out whatever I sent to her immediately. Versus, hey, Sharon, I've got this great thing for you. And it's like 3 steps, check, 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 done and done. Just like if I wanted to go to a movie or a good restaurant, I'd be like, here's the link. Go check out this restaurant. Or 2 sentences, like I've said in previous things, when I'm talking to my pickleball buddies, they go, Spence, we know you're sitting at your desk and you can type into your computer and text through Apple. Don't. You get 1 line, maybe 2 sentences max, and or else you violated our trust. So similarly here, today we're going to build the 3 key things, and I'm going to show you how to do this in such a simple way that you'll have no excuse not to do it. And your clients, your prospects, your existing customers will appreciate this. One of the things I'm doing here, and I love your feedback on this, is I'm just doing this like as if it was a real good old fashioned recipe card book, right? Again, those of you who are old enough to remember that your mom, your grandma, your father, whoever used to have a little file cabinet box. Good morning, Julie. Exactly. And we were going to do some IKEA kind of stuff today. So you guys will remember that the old days recipe card box, there used to be a little box on the kitchen counter. And your grandma, your mom, your dad, whoever had their secret recipes in 3x5 file cards. Now, am I trying to be old fashioned? No, I'm trying to explain this worked because, see, it was just like main categories. I wonder if I can make that big. It was just main categories. And inside of each of the category were a 3x5 recipe card. And the recipe card was like, look, you're only going to get just enough information to make this thing happen, right? You don't have to make it more complicated than that. Let's see if I can open this in a new tab as well. So it just was really as silly as this, as far as simplicity, right? Just a recipe, just enough to get it done. Okay, we're going to follow this building on the fly. And I want to share with you today my recipe card. So first is going to be the ingredients, which is typically what we used to do on this. Fluent CRM, WooCommerce, WP Fusion, Abandoned Cart. There's plenty more things we can add to this, including launch flows for sales funnels. But like the basics of this, I'm going to set up live from scratch as I go to prove how easy this can be. Also, I want to point out, I'm going to scale that a little bit. With the recipes, what I've done is make these link to the ingredients page. And the intent is if when I have this fully set up, you'll have, let's say, Fluent CRM. It'll go to that recipe. To that ingredient. It'll maybe give one line of extra information. And then this arrow will take you to the full documentation. So think of it like this. One of the ways that I'm personally showing how to market and simplify while I teach you how to do it is do not replicate documentation that already exists on the internet. Do not create content that already exists on the internet. My primary business is how to show as a concierge to use the ingredients that are made by, in most cases, other companies in a way that's logical. I'm curating. So don't duplicate this. I use the metaphor of Costco. You go into Costco and you buy name brand ingredients, right? It's Hellman's mayonnaise, but they put it in a certain place in a certain way so that I'm compelled to buy it. And it's easier for me as their customer. They sometimes put their own white label on it. Like I do some of those things for Coat too, like Kirkland brand mayonnaise. But for the most part, they don't try to replicate the information that's available on the particular products they sell. They just link to or allow you to link to it yourself. And I'm doing the same thing here. So for example, WooCommerce, this is a bookmark that it'll show you the context. And maybe when I flush this out, one sentence to describe it. But otherwise, you click the arrow. Here's your documentation. This is a resource that I feel is going to be extremely valuable because it'll allow me to continue to scale the stuff that I do, keep it current, but also build recipes where everybody has the same stuff. Think of it like that. Okay, so today, here's our ingredients. Fluent CRM, you could substitute in 1 cup of your own CRM, but I don't think you should because that would be a huge mistake in terms of the benefits of having the CRM inside of your stack. WooCommerce is the transactional engine I'm using and always using. There are other alternatives. Again, your recipe can be altered as you wish, but if you alter it from what I'm showing, you are on your own for how it comes out. If that souffle collapses, I appreciate your desire to experiment, but you can't come to me unless you want to pay me to uncollapse your souffle. WP Fusion and the add-on for WP Fusion Abandoned Cart, because I'm going to use 2 methods here for the number one automation. Okay, number one automation, drum roll please, is abandoned cart recovery. The reason this is so essential is because we live in a world where we're doing a journey for these people who are prospects, and we're going to be making them offers using sales funnels and otherwise. And there are going to be people who get stuck. They get excited, and then the dog distracts them, the kids distract them. They have to go on with their day. And so we have the ability to use, these are tags, in our automation to know when somebody has done something like they filled their cart up with junk and they haven't checked out yet. We can do it one of two ways. I'm going to show you the Fluent CRM way directly, or what I prefer, the WP Fusion way. Next automation, welcome series for new subscribers. Now, this could be subscribers in the context of something like your free newsletter, or it could be somebody who comes along and actually buys something. Either way, they need to be on your list. This is the metaphor I use all the time in my private consultations. In the old days, hey kids, this is how I met your mother. In the old days, fishbowl on counter of business. Okay, everybody who had a business, oh, look, I love how it even does this. Usually put an empty fishbowl right at the cashier counter where customers would drop their business cards for hope to win some sort of prize. I feel like I'm a traveler in time and space coming back. And this idea of a fishbowl on your counter was because we used to have no automation of any kind other than manual stuff. So when people would come to your store, you'd ask them to put their business cards in a fishbowl so that you could get back in touch with them. Hey, it's Spence from the store you visited, and I got something for you. And it's just so simple and so stupid, but it works because everybody in those days had a business card. Nobody has a business card now. The metaphor is instead, you're using the business card of give me your email and I'm going to give you something valuable. This is my fishbowl, right? If I go to wplaunchify.com, the fishbowl is essentially the same thing styled differently, right? So if I scroll down here, I'm going to have a fishbowl. Here it comes. There's the fishbowl. And the idea is we have the ability to take the person's email and we can do something with it. And so when we talk about what we're going to do, we're going to give them some information that, as I alluded to, is not going to be, oh my God, I need to sit down and read this. It's going to be like 3 paragraphs max, kind of like I send out. Hey, it's Spence. I'm doing a webinar about automation. Show up if you like with this link, or don't show up. By giving them something like that, you avoid creating analysis paralysis or anxiety in people who, like myself, get 300 to 500 emails a day. Yes, kids, it's true. 300 to 500 emails a day, many of which get filtered out. But like I'm in inbox 0 all the time. So I don't want to get something from my trusted new relationship that makes me feel anxious that I have to read it or I'm going to miss something. FOMO is real. Fear of missing out. Okay, and then the third one that we're going to do is the customer segmentation and targeted campaigns. And what this means, a lot of words. Let's say you collect all these fishbowl business cards. People have come to your site and either for free have given you their email, they've consumed some of your free samples, or maybe they've even bought something. You now have the information you need to act like the concierge in the hotel and say, oh, that foreman guy, he's in the penthouse suite, of course. He loves chocolate. He's from Chicago. Yellow's his favorite color. He likes hockey. All these things that he has told me about as the concierge, I can now use to send more stuff that's directly targeted to people who like yellow from Chicago, who enjoy hockey, and specifically Spence. He's got 3 sons. Okay. So the idea is you now have tags as well as custom field data about what the person saw and clicked and bought and did and enjoyed and yada, yada, yada. And you're going to use that for sending out different messages to different people. And we can constantly keep this updated based upon what people do. So we now know not only when we met them, we gave them something to, go on our value ladder, build a relationship. But as we go, we can use these tags, as I've indicated, for a million different things, starting with sending them emails, changing the website, even discounts, changing the prices of products. Okay. All these are simple. I'm going to rush through the mechanics. And then when I have time, obviously I can come back. So because we know we need the ingredients, we're going to start with just a launch kit. Now I have a brand new site here that was just set up with nothing else. It only has the launch kit plugin in it right now. So I'm going to go this live without a net, kids. Number one, with launch kit, this has been asked to me. Notice in the 2.05, this is the Ann Stevenson edition. Good morning, Ann. If you're here, this is highly recommended. Ann said, too many menu items makes me unhappy. I said, I agree. The 3 things you need to do are now focused on in the menu. So this is a tool for optimizing your WordPress administrative experience, for installing and updating the software. And that's basically it. It's like a tool that makes WordPress behave and allows me to act as your concierge for giving you the software you need while testing all of the things before I hand it over so that it's safe for you and the thousands of other people that follow me to not feel like they're on some kind of roller coaster to I don't know where. So notice now, get started, install more features. The more features, you may have to refresh your cache if you have an older version. I just move the menu items here to get them out of your hair. Okay. So if you ever need them, they're here. But this way, there's only 3 steps. And so for everybody, the one thing I do is step 1, you click set your preferences. For almost everybody, you're going to set all of these 5 that are not in the gray area and click save. That tames the behavior of WordPress. I can go into those, but I've done that before. Just read them. They're self-explanatory. If you need to white label this for a client, you can do this, and that'll hide the launch kit menu, but still let you access it in the URL with that. This is just a handy feature because lots of my clients and customers are agencies or implementers. They don't want their clients to be bouncing around in here. Okay, number 2, click and essentially create your membership if you haven't done so already. Most of you have already become members. Either get the launch kit with the full unlimited email concierge from Spence on your whole business of everything WordPress and all of the software, $6,100, $6,400 of it, and your own hosted site for $97, or you could go with just software for $47, which is a huge value as well. So it's $6,400 of software for $47 a month, plus you get all of the free instructions and things I'm showing you, so you can just follow along. You do not get unlimited email with me for that, but I am very generous with my time. You can do that a la carte. Okay. So if you've got that login, step 3, log in with your WP Launchify subscription. Really simple. So I've got one here that I've set up for today. I'm going to log in, and all I'm going to do is, number 1, install all of the software, but I'm not going to update it. First thing we do, though, is check the update to make sure you've got today's version of it. So make sure that the date is today is October 25th at 10:18 Chicago time. Number 2, install all of the software. I'll tell you why that's okay. Watch how fast this goes. This is like amazing. I mean, like 99 plugins just got installed in like 3 seconds. Step 3, check for any updates if you need any. Now, interestingly enough, there's a couple plugins that updated since this morning, but I am testing them. So notice plugins being tested. Spence, we are testing new plugin updates before we release them. So I'll double check there's no shenanigans with these, and then I will put them into the next update package so that when you get to it and click update here, it will be the things that you need, but not the things that will harm you or break. Next, I always install the Cadence theme just because I prefer to use that over the default WordPress 2025 or whatever nonsense. And we're not doing anything with packages. If you wanted to, you could use Prime Mover to install a ready-made package. We don't need that right now. So next is we could just go to plugins. So remember, we've got the recipe of what we need here. Fluent CRM, WooCommerce, WP Fusion Abandoned Cart. I could just turn everything on, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm just going to be very prescriptive. Number 1, make use of the hide notices feature at the top of the screen if you're unsure about what's going on and you don't want to be annoyed, because that will let you know something's under there. But notice, gets rid of all of the, oh my God, let me get your attention. Let get your attention from every single gosh darn plugin that wants to be installed. It's crazy. It's literally like 1,000 messages just to get through installation. So we're not going to do that. We're going to hide it, but we know we can come back to it. Okay, so number 1, we're going to turn on, for example, Fluent CRM. And I just going to go through these in order because there's another way of doing this, but like this is the most straight up. Now there's the pro and regular. So I'm just going to literally check the check boxes. Pro and regular. I'm going to actually turn on the Cadence stuff just in case to make it all look nice. So Cadence blocks Pro. The starter templates would be useful in general. I don't really need them right now, but I'll just turn them on in case we want to look at some of the design stuff. And the rest of this stuff, not so much. Just Cadence Pro is enough. So for the theme, in case there's anything I want to use in there. Next, even though I could use launch flows and stuff, we're not going to worry about that too much, but I will turn it on just so it's there in case there's a sales funnel question or something. That would be, again, extending what my main purpose is today for the automations. And then we're going to do WP Fusion and WP Fusion Abandoned Cart. So for that, we're going to go down here. We need WooCommerce, of course. Of course is of course. And we'll get to the subscriptions and stuff later. That's not super important. The gateway, not super important. And then we're going to do WP Fusion and the abandoned cart. And when I say not important, I mean not important in the sense of there's a million things along the sales channel that we can do and set up and show. But today I want to focus just on the automation stuff, because otherwise I can't fit this in an hour, and you guys will get bored and fall asleep, and then I have to wake you up. Okay. So let's make sure that we've got them activated. Fluent CRM, Cadence, WooCommerce. It's looking pretty good. Okay. Here's the cool thing. Remember I said I can install, there's 104 plugins. I don't need 104 laying around. All you do is click the red button. And guess what happens? Takes you to the page where you just push this button. It says, I could selectively remove stuff, or I could just go, yeah, get rid of all that stuff. Clean up, done. Job well done. And now I go back to plugins, and you'll see that all we have left are just the plugins that we're using. Ta-da, 11 plugins. You cannot get better than that, folks. I'm willing to go to the mat. After 20 years of WordPress, try doing native WordPress installation for yourself and your clients. Sharon, somebody who's been doing this, tell me if I'm lying on this one. This would be 40 minutes of dicking around trying to install those plugins because of the dependencies and because of the downloads and because of all the codes that you'd have to use. A nightmare. All right, let's start with the basics. We need to actually set up Fluent CRM probably first. So let's go there, because what we want to do is just have the business information. I'm doing this from scratch to prove that it can be done in a course of 40 minutes. So you give the business a name, and this is, Spence office hours, and your address 1234 Main Street, Chicago, whatever. Not necessary, but this is the stuff. This is the stuff you'll need when you're doing it for your business. And you can put your logo in there for the emails. Julie has a question. So the plugins you just cleaned up, where did they go? They disappear. They're always there, but what happens is they are disabled and removed from the plugins, but they're always reinstallable. Let me answer your question by showing you how ridiculous this is. Let me go past this one section. I'm going to show you. So hold on. Let's make one list. We need main list. This is a metaphor, by the way, that if you were to go to a large event like a WordCamp, like I went to WordCamp USA, there's this huge hotel, and they have the atrium, and then they had like 20 ballrooms. There was thousands of people there I wanted to meet, all of whom had tags that said all the things I want to see and know about them. Guess what was best? When everybody was in the one atrium, they had like the buffet. It was awesome. I could see everybody, and I just go, hey, everybody from Automatic. No, it was really more like, hey, everybody from Liquid Web. I could see the people in one room. You know what the worst part about the whole thing was? When everybody went into the private ballrooms, because then it was like, hey, did you see Bob? Did you see Susie? Did you see Julie? I don't know what ballroom they're in. So we want one list per business, because we're going to use tags to segment, not have everybody in separate lists. And so here we're going to have different types of tags. I'm just going to make one right now. Sample tag 1, sample tag 2. And we're going to make our own tags as we go on the rest of the stuff. So now I've got a list. I've got the tags. This asks me if I want to install Fluent Forms. Yes. I mean, we can install that from LaunchKit as well. And then I'm going to show Julie and the rest of you. So if I go back to the dashboard, anytime you're using LaunchKit and you go, oh, I know I'm using Fluent Forms. Now I want to install the Fluent Forms Pro, because I remember seeing it. It's in the ingredients, right? If I go down to Forms, I know Forms Pro PDF signature, and I can learn more about them. But Forms and Forms Pro. So here's how we do. We go in here, and you simply go to LaunchKit, and you just click the button and install it. So install and update. And here's the whole menu of stuff. We just scroll down to Fluent Forms Pro. Do Fluent Form Pro, install. Now you can do this with any of the software. And this doesn't in any way interfere with your normal use of the plugin manager, the normal WordPress one, but you'll notice we just have to enable it. So I can reinstall any of the other software at any time. And in fact, when I do my updates, I will go right into there and I will update everything. And then when it's done, I will just remove the deactivated ones. And that gives me this ability, if I need to turn the site off or to manage it or create a recipe, I can just make the recipe right here out of what's installed. Let me show you that too, because that's kind of useful for a tip. Go back to Launch Kit. One of the things I put in the more options is the plugin manager and recipe creator. So you go to more features, you go to recipe manager. You're welcome, Julie. And look at this. So here I can manage which things are on and off, right? I know that these are all active. If I just click this button and I say, I want to create a recipe, Spence 3 automation ingredients. What is this doing? This is creating a text file, a very special one that will remember a list and allow you to download it of exactly the things that you wanted to use in any particular setup. And that's a really super useful thing. And I'll show you why. Let me get the actual list. I'll show you what this shows, because this allows me to create stuff for myself and my clients based upon a setup. Here's what just downloaded. I probably should just use it. Oh my goodness, what's so wrong with this online text editor? I just want to show you what's in the list here. Edit pad. Okay. So this is essentially what came out. And watch what's cool about this. If I were to put this in here into Launch Kit, I now have a way to enable or disable any list of stuff. I paste that list in here, or I can manually edit it. And then I just choose deactivate selected plugins after I've uploaded the recipe list, right? So this is a way for me to essentially create, save, and manage ingredients that go together. Okay, enough said. Now that I've got what I want, let's go back and let's set a Fluent CRM the rest of the way. We want to tell it how to behave. And I'm not going into setting up the email part because that's SMTP, but you're going to want to set up Fluent SMTP so these emails will go out. But in the meantime, we can use this for the actual emails. Today, I'm just going to show you the automations that go with the emails. When you go inside of Fluent CRM, you want to go to settings, and we want to set up a few other kind of custom things. First things first, general settings about what this does. We do want to enable the sync of the WP users and the Fluent CRM contacts. Kind of a subtle thing, but the people who are going to come inside the site, we have two statuses with them. Strangers we've just met, those are cold leads, and then there's prospects and customers. I like to recommend that cold leads stay only in the CRM. And once you start building a relationship with them, then we want them registered and logged in. So that's when for prospects and customers, people that you feel are warm enough, those are people we want as users in the site, because when they're in the site, just like when they're in Costco, we can see and track everything they're doing in a nice way and give them tags for everything they're interested in or click on. We cannot do that if they're only in the CRM other than by links and emails. We want them to feel free to browse at will, but we also, after they're warmed up a little, want to likely change what they get based upon what they start showing an interest in. Okay, I do not like to delete the Fluent CRM contact data. I always want to keep people in the CRM unless they say, I never want to hear from you again. It's not you, Spence, it's me. And if that's the case, then I unsubscribe them. But I do that manually in the CRM. We want to create new contacts whenever anybody registers under any circumstances in WordPress. So like once somebody is otherwise getting in through a checkout or through something else, let's put them onto that main list. And we don't need to worry about assigning a tag. I just need them in the ballroom with a name tag on. And there's other options here with comment form. The only one I usually do is automatically fill WooCommerce checkout fields with the CRM data. So like if they do have a CRM profile and they go to WooCommerce, it's going to keep synchronized Spencer Foreman, his email, that kind of thing. And that way we don't mistake who's doing what. All right. There's other things I'm going to come back to. For right now, though, let's look at WP Fusion. So step 2 would be to set up WP Fusion. We're going to go to Settings, WP Fusion. We have to connect it to the Fluent CRM. If you use another CRM, good luck. Not a problem. There's 60 of them, but you're just adding to your misery. But we do have a lot of customers that use other CRMs. So some of the stuff I'm showing you doesn't apply, but if you are, you just choose a different CRM. Here, we're going to choose Fluent CRM this site because there's something that I've shown other Fridays, and I can show again, where you can have a hub that is the brains of your operation. And then you can have an unlimited number of sites that all talk to it. That's what I do with one WDTV. And in doing so, you can create this crazy powerful marketing tool that allows you to track your business everywhere. But we'll do that in another webinar, another live office hour. So we're going to do Fluent CRM, this site, connect. Ta-da. Now, you do not need license keys. So everybody sees a license key and they freak out. I don't hide it when it's in the actual page like that because it's not necessary, but you don't need it because you're getting all of the pro stuff directly through this process. And I'm the one who's going to be your concierge and the person updating you. That's how it's possible with open source software to build a better business. Like think of Costco. You don't need to have a license key to eat Hellman's mayonnaise. They understand that the mayonnaise is being sold at Costco. Okay. We're going to make sure that the default is to add people to the main list. And again, this is kind of weird. It's a duplicate of what Fluent is doing, but it's just better to set it up here on both ends in case there's a process that we use with WP Fusion that's outside the scope of Fluent, like maybe a webhook could create a new user. This is what we want to make sure we understand, that it's going to send them to that list. So what we've got now is we've got two of our key elements. We've got a CRM with a list. We've got WP Fusion act as the connector. Let's go ahead and look under add-ons for this marketing automation tool that we're going to use, the abandoned cart feature. There are two types of abandoned carts. One is within Fluent, one is within WP Fusion. You should not use both at the same time. I'm recommending to everybody that you're going to use WP Fusion anyway, use WP Fusions, because my opinion is think of Fluent CRM like an outside CRM. We want to do all of the logic with WP Fusion connecting things. We want to do what happens on the contact in the CRM. So in other words, like if it was a remote CRM, WP Fusion's connecting the two worlds of WordPress and that CRM. We want to act as if like, hey, the remote CRM really can't do stuff in WordPress without WP Fusion. So WP Fusion is the USB connector and sort of the mechanical brains of how stuff gets from here to there. But once they're in the CRM, we use it there. The WP Fusion versus Fluent abandoned cart, I want to show you both just because they're both useful and it's nice to know it's there. Okay. So when I'm setting up, let's go back to our recipe. We've got these items here. I'm going to go through the recipe with you because if you printed this out and put it in on your counter, you can use this thing. This is called a pen, kids. And all jokes aside, I think there might be people who print this stuff out and you can literally just use it on your desktop and put it in a folder. I mean, I can't tell you because I show this all the time, but like next to my desk, it's like, look, here's my computer system of my folders and notepads, and I'm living in another century. Here's for my surgery. I've got like instructions. This stuff still works and it doesn't require battery. Okay. All the while, I spend my morning literally interacting in an amazing way with AI. So, I mean, the paradigm for you is what I'm trying to show you as a liaison. You don't have to either or. You just have to not choose to connect things badly. So a horse and a wagon, good transportation. Electric car, probably better in many ways. But if you took the concept of the horse and wagon, you could probably attach a trailer, a modern one, to the back of your electric car. Don't try to attach the horse because it'll have a hard time keeping up. Okay. So with the abandoned cart recovery, option one, Fluent CRM, let's use the recipe. The trigger is when the cart is abandoned in WooCommerce. Well, we need a product. So let's go ahead and we got WooCommerce. This may or may not require me to do more setup, but that's okay. We're not going to actually do the checkout. I'm just going to set this up. Let's create an example product. It does not matter if it's a subscription or if it's an event. It does not matter at all. It's just something has to be in the cart. Okay. So let's just say example product, something to be in the cart to show you. Okay. And let's just say, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's $100. It's virtual. With launch flows, we could, if we have this set up, we could set up a checkout page. And if I don't have this set up, but you could set up a custom thank you page. We're not going to bother too much with that at the moment. So I'm not going to sweat it. And if we wanted, we could put just like a thumbnail on this so it looks nice enough. I'll just put this camera. Okay. So now I've got a product. And so the idea is we want to set up Fluent CRM with this option. This is in the pro version, but it'll be there for us. We're going to do this so that if there is something in the cart, it triggers the same kind of behavior that we've been just talking about. So let's go back to Fluent CRM. And let's go to, I believe this is going to be found under settings. I may have to refer to the docs myself. Here it is, abandoned cart settings. Really easy. So we're going to enable this first. Remember, do not use this and WP Fusion. Use either or. Okay. You're going to see these kind of controls both here and in WP Fusion. What's the cutoff time? This means like how much time does stuff have to be in the cart until it triggers this automation? And this is kind of neat. And I want to explain why. Because normally with automations, we wait till somebody has a tag, and then we're doing what's called a cron job, C-R-O-N. It's a timer that's normally in WordPress, but when we do Rocket, we usually put it over in Rocket. So it's just like a really accurate stopwatch. We have a chance before the automation starts to like decide who should have this thing even triggered. So this is a way to delay the triggering of this whole process. If you set this to 0, which you could do, okay, immediately when somebody adds something into the cart, it's going to be like giving them a tag and triggering the automation from starting. That might be too annoying. So for right now, let's just say somebody leaves something in the cart. If they don't come back and buy it in 30 minutes, then this automation never even begins at this level. Now, you can also decide how long to keep bothering people. When is it marked as lost? Lost means there's no chance he's coming back. Okay. 1 day, 10 days, this is in days. I don't think there's even an option to change it. So if after 1 day or 2 days, what would I recommend? I would recommend that 0 to 30 minutes for the cutoff time, depending on what kind of stuff you're doing. I would say 2 days max, probably 1 day, because you can still keep the tag on somebody to know in the future, like, well, they sort of were interested. But my God, think about your friend. Hey, want to go to that movie? Want to go to that movie? Hey, Julie, want to go to that movie? Sharon, want to go to that movie? Want to go to that movie? Want to go to the movie? Want to go to the movie? Want to go to the movie? Like, that's not a friend you're going to want to keep. So don't be that person. Ask them once. Hey, you left something in the cart. Maybe twice if it's really important, but that's it. Okay. Cool off is how long to give people a break after you've annoyed the hell out of them. Because remember I said at the beginning of today's event, in a world of infinite annoyance and technology and capability to bother 350, 400 people a day if you want, be the opposite. Be that 1970s person who sends a postcard. So give a person a cooling off period after you've run them through this 10 days, whatever. No more abandoned cart for you for a month, 30 days. I honestly feel like this is your own discretion based on your clients, but I don't do abandoned cart because I can kind of see what's going on anyway. If I did abandoned cart, it would be one message and then I would probably give them a month. Okay. Status for new contacts. You can change them from being transactional to subscribe. This is a new feature. Transactional is like, hey, they've come into the store and I haven't gotten them to give me the, like the business card yet. I recognize them. Oh, that's the mayor just came into town. But until they kind of like concede and give you the card, you want to treat them as like, look, I'm tracking them just in this transaction alone, and I'm not going to annoy the hell out of them. So if you bring them in that way, you can maybe afterwards, when you approach them, talk to them slightly different than you would somebody who has already said, oh, I love your stuff, Spence, and I'm giving you my business card. I can't wait to hear about the contest that you're going to do. Okay. Versus, oh, I'm just browsing today. Okay. So I would just leave them transactional for the moment because it says who do not, there's a typo here, but who are not, who do not exist in Fluent yet. And then here's what you can do is mark card is recovered when WooCommerce order status changes to. So if they've gone to processing or completed, the two statuses for a WooCommerce order that indicate processing is usually what happens when you have a shippable product because the order goes through, the money's taken, but it says to the customer, we got to put it in a box. Completed is for virtual stuff. That's like, LMS courses and lessons. Like you take the money, you're done. Those are the statuses that mark them as done so that they do not any longer get this automation sent about abandoned cart. If you live outside the United States and you need GDPR, you can give them this little consent and you can change the message that says something like whatever your country needs. And you can use smart code to let them opt out of it. So if people in your country or your customer base don't want to be tracked, you can do it for them and not for others. Okay, here's where you can do the tags. So first of all, add list on cart abandoned. That's the main list. Here's where add tags. Now for this, we're going to need a tag, and we're going to just create one tag for either of these two methods, either WP Fusion or Fluent. We're going to call it abandoned cart. Okay, so abandoned cart. Now, I would recommend you be semantical in your tags. So I like to do like this. I use separate words with camel case. They each start with a capital. You can do separate words with little case, like I did for those two sample ones, or you can even use attached with an underscore. Of the methods, I prefer just personally either the two separate words with lowercase or camel case. I'll do it consistent. So I'll do it like this, abandoned cart. And I'm going to add that, right? So sorry, I keep clicking and because of the way the keyboard is, I just keep getting rid of it. Abandoned cart add. Okay. So now we're going to have a tag called abandoned cart that is given to somebody when this process starts. So Spence puts his product in the cart. He gets the abandoned cart tag. If I wanted to, I could do a second one called cart lost, which is to track the people who've been through this before, but they just didn't ever come back. Cry. So same thing. We'll do cart lost. Add the tag. Now you must save this. Okay. So a couple things. First of all, if we check inside of here, if we go under context tags, let's make sure those tags exist. They do. What we've now successfully done, and that's it, kids. We've set up the tracking so that if somebody comes in with the Fluent CRM and they put a product in the cart and don't do anything with it for 30 minutes, then they will get the tag abandoned cart. And then going back to the recipe here, now that we've set that up, the trigger is WooCommerce cart abandoned. Create a new automation in Fluent. All right, well, add an email action, include dynamic content. So let's do that. We now know somebody has a tag, so we're going to go to automations and we'll create a new one, a simple one. Doesn't have to be complex. They actually have some pretty nice templates for this. So abandoned cart automation, this will save a lot of trouble, but I can do this from scratch. Let's take a look at this one first, because this will probably get most of what we want. So the first thing here is that we're going to do abandoned cart as the trigger. And this is where we can choose either to have it because it's in WooCommerce or because it's a tag. Okay. And so what I like to suggest to you is you can use the tool that works for you. Remember, if we do here, cart data, we can specify what's the total, how many counts are, what items, and so forth. So it doesn't have to be just specifically any old stuff in the cart. You can say if there's $100 worth of stuff, cart total, okay, is greater than 100, then it runs. Okay. If not, no. You could do things that are multiple layer conditions. The contact is from Illinois, right? So forth. So I won't go through all of these, but you can see we have so many things we can use. Which products, total order values in the past, if they open the last email sent, tags. Do they have a specific tag? Like, do they have sample one tag? These are all conditions we can layer on top of it. But if we don't do anything else, or if we even accept these, then when we save it, we've got the trigger. And then one thing I want to show you too, down here are these options. Skip this automation if the contact's already active. Only run this for subscribed contacts. This means if Spence has an abandoned cart and then some way he goes away and he opens up another screen. He's got another abandoned cart. You're going to skip it. You're going to stick with what he's got. You're not going to have like this running 5-10 times because he switched browsers. You're going to have to figure out for yourself which makes sense. And then this one is only for subscribed context. So remember I said somebody can be unsubscribed if they're like, Spence, we're broken up. Then this would prevent this from happening on any of those people, because I don't know what the hell they're doing on your website, but they've just said they don't want to hear from you in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Next, the reminder email. This is no big deal. This is like you're sending an email. Hey, there's something in your cart. The important thing is, though, use the syntax that tells them what's in the cart. So, hey, and then you go over to this little blue doodaddy here and you get their first name, right? So contact information, first name, and then you paste it because it puts it in the, it just copies it, ready to paste, right? And then now what we want to do is put in, you left some stuff. Now, this is what's interesting. This information is typically going to be available through a custom field. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom field, but you can see, and this is where I want to also show, because I want to see if they've got it in here. Hold on. If you do the abandoned cart woo from Fluent, one of the interesting things is it's got like all of this stuff already mapped out. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can use. When you're doing with WP Fusion, it's simpler. It's a link that takes you back and fills your cart up. So in this case, you could be very granular. Let's just say, hey, you've got let's say cart items or something. And when I say some stuff, I could use that as the link. And I just paste that template tag in there. That's going to give a link to list the items, I believe. I may be using that wrong, by the way. That's why if I was to, really tell you what I would do, I would go back over to Fluent CRM. Here, I'm going to do this live action, and I would type abandoned cart. And now you get some information on how to do this from the source, right? Abandoned cart automation. It's giving you like the tips that I'm showing you live here, which is awesome. See, I don't have to duplicate it. But what I want to know is the template tags. So let's see if they give me a way to find that. Let's see if it's in the main thing. I think they call it like something else, like a user setting or something, but I don't know what that little doodad is called that fills it in. But I do like the fact that this, even for me, this is very useful, because how much work would it be for me or you for your own business to duplicate all this stuff? It's kind of ridiculous. So I'll just leave it at that for now. Suffice it to say, just to kind of come back to this, you can use any of these options. What are they calling this menu? I don't know what they're calling this thing. That's why I'm having trouble. I want to call it template tags. But what I would typically do is do this cart recovery URL. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it like this. I'm going to change this from some stuff to cart recovery URL instead. And one of the things that's important is we got to make sure that it's functionally right. Cart recovery URL. Let's try that again. Make sure that you get it correct. Like you don't chop anything off. That looks good. Okay. So I think what this other template tag would do would list things out. So if I did, for example, cart items, I think here's what's in there. If you put that in like that, I believe that's going to give you essentially the listed in line. And we could send a test email and stuff. But for right now, let's just suffice it to say you have an email set up. And the email is going to notify somebody enough information that they could come back and decide whether or not to check out. That's what's important. So let's save this. We need to give it a subject. So the subject would be something along the lines of, hey, you left something in your cart. Still interested? Something that you feel, and we can talk about this in a strategy office hours, that will reflect upon a simple way that you would remind your friend of something. Hey, Bob, let's go to tacos. Hey, this cool Marvel movie's out. Or, oh, you want to go walk to the park or the lake? Like, you don't need to have 500 words. You need something that immediately paints a picture in somebody's mind. Next, you would wait in this automation. And then here's an incentive coupon. We're going to talk about this in number 3. This is where you can now make a coupon. It says, okay, how about I give you another chance, but with a discount? So with this one, I have the ability to create a coupon. It's a WooCommerce coupon, and I can just do it dynamically here, which, by the way, super cool that this deep integrates. So this is the name of the person being used, Spencer, and then I could use a random suffix. That means Spencer 1234 is going to come out. I give him a percentage discount automatically here, or a fixed cart discount. So I'll say, Spence, come back, get 25% off, dude. Okay, expires in 1 day. You better get over there, man. You got 1 day to decide. I'll even throw in free shipping. Okay. And by the way, don't share this with your friends. This is only for you with your email. That's one of the reasons why I'm showing you this, because even though the WP Fusion one is awesome, you cannot do that without going to WooCommerce and doing the same setup for the coupon. So then I wait. Oh, sorry. I'm here, create coupon. Then I go and I send another email reminder where this is where I'm going to use essentially the offer. I'm going to take that offer and I'm going to put it into place. So I won't go into too much detail because we're running short on time. But here's where one of these is for sure the offer. Let me actually go back a step because, again, even for Spence, I've got to get the coupon code. I've got to use this. Okay. So I copy this. And that's what I'm going to put inside of the email, right? So if I go back over here, I'm going to write something really witty and clever. You know, I use the same thing. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Here's my offer. How about, 25% off if you buy the items in your cart today? Click here if yes. Now, by the way, instead of these, you could use a button because that's maybe a nice way to do it. Click here to get it. Okay. And with that, it's a coupon code. So I don't know how this is going to display. I think it actually will display the coupon code. So I'll say, use this coupon code. And you can modify this into a link, but I could also just plainly paste it and that will display it. Okay. So the concept here is just to stay to our recipe, not to go through every single little detail, but with Fluent CRM, we created a new automation. We have an email action, which is like the cart recovery message. We have a second email if 2 days later they haven't gotten around to it. And we're including something like a checkout link or product images. We could put the cart items. We do a lot of stuff. And then I don't think that I would actually do this third thing that they've got. So I'm going to save this. 25 off if you check out. If I save this, I don't think I would do the third one. That's annoying people. This is just some examples. So I would not do this one. And to delete these, you just simply click. So delete and delete. And then I would end the automation. You don't have to end these automations, but I like to let me know that I'm not really doing anything else here. So end this funnel here. Ta-da. Automation number 1 is done. This same automation, by the way, can be used, as we'll talk about, for WP Fusion. When you're going to use this live, be sure you put it into live publish mode, and then you can track user behavior and stuff. All right. Let's go and do the alternative to this, which was the WP Fusion. These other ones will go faster. I know I'm running long. WP Fusion, we do very similar, but we do it by way of this abandoned cart tag and a URL link that's a custom field. So if we go back in here, let's go into Fluent CRM and set up a custom field. We're going to call this abandoned cart URL. So we go over here to contacts. And actually, this is going to be under settings, custom contact fields. Let's make a new one. And we're going to call this a single line text. We're going to call this abandoned cart URL. I spelled that badly. abandoned. Okay. Now we can make a custom field group. I'm going to make one called marketing. Why? Because this will keep the stuff at the bottom in its own little group. There might be other things I want to add here because I can also do abandoned cart amount. Let's do that. Don't make it dollars, just make it text. You'll see why. Cart value. And we'll put that into the same field group. Okay, so now I've got 2 custom fields for the profiles of the individuals, and you'll see that when we go, if we added a contact, you'll see that because let's do sample contact sample at test.com. Add them into the main list. You'll see that when we look at the person, we've got this custom profile data organization that we can filter and sort, but see, I can have these separated from the normal fields. Very easy visually when you're working with this stuff. Now I go to Settings WP Fusion, and that's where we started this part of the adventure. The other 2 automations do go much faster. And here under the add-ons, we're now going to say, all right, first of all, you should turn off the Fluent CRM automation, right? We don't want this at the same time running. So let's just be fair in case somebody's watching this. If we go over here, we can turn this off a couple different ways. I would just turn it off under abandoned carts. This is probably not going to get me the settings. This is probably going to get me the actual abandoned carts. By the way, I didn't talk about this, but what's neat is this is a dashboard that actually shows you in real time, like who's doing what. Kind of cool. A supplement to the normal, tag. I think I want to go to settings and just do back where I was here. I'm going to disable this for now, just so I'm being clear that I'm only using WP Fusion at the moment. So back to settings, WP Fusion, add-ons. And now what we're going to say is, where is it that we want to send folks? Well, I think we should send them to the default checkout page. However, if you're using launch flows, you might set up dozens of custom checkout pages, and you can have conditionals, in which case you could use the page that they were on is where they get it. So it's a subtle difference, but for most of what you're going to do, just checkout page is fine, because that's the URL you want to give people to go to just look at what's in the cart. Like the reason it's, let's say if you're using launch flows, we can have the contents of the cart displaying in any number of hundreds of custom checkout pages. So maybe you want them to go to a special one that's, designed for this. Okay, you can apply the tags when they begin a checkout. This is the same thing as we just saw with abandoned cart. So like before, you can do it immediately or 30 minutes. We did 30 minutes before. So this is like somebody's there, they put stuff in the cart, clock starts running before this even begins the automation trigger. You can use this nuclear option, trigger on add to cart. This isn't allowing you to say, anytime somebody puts anything in the cart, boom, just do it. Let's go. Okay, that's nice. Now, it still has the delay of 30 minutes, but I'm saying like, it doesn't have to hit the checkout page. It's just started as soon as they add it to the cart. This would be great for places that have a lot of SKUs or a lot of items that people are browsing before they actually go to review it. Okay. I wouldn't use this option. This is very expensive as far as your horsepower, but this syncs every time any input on the checkout is edited. So like this is, if you have a really busy site and you want to see like somebody's doing something on the checkout page, but if you have a lot of people visiting, this is going to hit the server too hard. So just leave that off. Now we're done. So we use this in the same automation, or we make a duplicate automation. So if I go back to Fluent CRM, one of the things we can do is just clone this one, right? So to make this simple, we just duplicate this and we can call it, something else, but we can also trigger it for something else. So let's change a few things. First of all, let's refresh the page. I think it's not happy because when I clone that one, it knows that Fluent CRM's WooCommerce function isn't enabled. So I'm going to do this one from scratch because it's just as easy. In other words, it was looking for something that doesn't exist. That's why it's red. So I guess that's one of the ways of knowing you've properly chosen one or the other. Let's just make it from scratch because it's just as easy. So what we're going to do is when a tag is applied, we're going to call this WP Fusion abandoned cart. Okay. And when a tag is applied, and the tag is going to be abandoned cart. It's a very complex world I live in. We want to make sure to click that blue button. Okay, and so the tag we choose, abandoned cart. And again, we can restart this. We can run this even if they're not subscribed. All the stuff we talked about before. And then we're going to do, I'm not going to do it again. Same idea. Somebody's got a tag. Wait, I don't know, wait a day. Just to make sure, they're not super annoyed. You can do it the same day if you feel like it's imperative, like there's a webinar going on. And then you do the email. And again, the rest is identical. The only difference here is that when you do the abandoned cart URL, this is where you're going to use a special custom field. So, hey, and then you do the name. Hey, first name. It's Spence. You left stuff in your cart. Still want it? And then a button. Click here. Now, here's where we get that URL. We need the custom field. So we go to custom field, abandoned cart URL, and we use that as the link on this button. Shazam. Okay. So that will take them to it. If you wanted, you could tell them how much was in the cart. You say abandoned cart value. You've got some stuff in your cart, worth about, paste. Still want it. So what I've done is I've used 2 template tags to fill in the information about what was in the cart, how much it was in the URL to go back, including the name of the person. And I can save this as a template, which is really important. Save it as a template so you can reuse it. Abandoned cart email. That way, next time you start, you don't have to go looking for all the stuff to set it up. Just go to here, bing, bang, boom. For those of you who care, I like this editor as well. I typically, like I said last week, will go with something that looks like a plain piece of white paper email. And what I'll do is I'll put in the top maybe just an image, but not much. And the reason is I don't want their email program or client to go nuts worrying about formatting an image. 9 out of 10 email clients won't work with the URL. They're just going to be like, sorry, Charlie, it ain't going to happen. So for this, I wouldn't use this picture, but like, do not do this. Too big. I would do something that's like 150 pixels max. Even that's a little rough. Maybe 100. So the idea is like just a logo, or like for my pictures, it's just got a little tiny Spence, your brand. And by saving that as a template, next time you don't have to remake this. So, hey, you left something in your cart. By the way, these template tag things work. I'm probably calling it the wrong name, but template tags work also in the subject. So, hey, first name works just as well. In fact, better. Okay. We have now completed that first recipe. The other 2, I'm going to go fast because I know I'm dragging you guys longer than normal, but we've completed the checklists. Okay. Oh, sorry. This is the one thing with the recovery page. This is probably not accurate. Instead, I'm wanting to send them to the cart with an email, but you could use these other features if you wanted. What I do is send people to the checkout. I don't want to send them to a special page. I wanted to do the mapping of the fields because I forgot that. So settings, WP Fusion, we can map those 2 important fields, which are the cart recovery URL and the cart value. And we go under contact fields. And what we're going to do is go down here to WooCommerce, WP Fusion abandoned cart. Recovery URL, we're going to choose that custom field. In order to make that show up, we have to refresh our tags and fields because we just created those, remember? We need to sync them to WP Fusion. And so now if we go here to abandoned cart, recovery URL is abandoned cart URL, and cart value is cart value. So WP Fusion does this slightly different, but it's really quite useful because what we're trying to do is just get somebody to come back or not. It's very unlikely we have to track them beyond that. Okay. The second, welcome series for new subscribers. Now this is easier for me because I'm going to just talk about the theory behind this, and it's much easier in terms of like what you're going to do. Customer subscribes to the newsletter. That's 100% what we've done here, where it's just a simple call to action billboard. Think you're driving down the highway and you're getting hungry and you see a billboard that says, "Hungry for cheeseburgers?" And your stomach says, "Yes, please." Next line should be the call to action, like solution. "We have the best cheeseburgers in Chicago." The actual call to action is asking them for their email. Click here to get them. Okay, let's go through this. This isn't so much of a pain point, but if you're a WordPress person, it might be. WordPress strategist and marketing expert. Okay. I offer products, training, services, and expertise. Join 40,000 other people. Now it's 50,000. Discovering the best WordPress solutions every week. Well, I want to be in that club because that sounds like something that solves my problem. So I'm going to put my card into Spence's fishbowl. And in doing so, I'm going to get newsletters. Super cool. Let's do the automations, kids. Create a new automation in Fluent for new subscribers. We're going to need a tag. We can do it to distinguish how they got on the list. Because if we just put them on a list, it will work. But I'd like to know they subscribed from homepage or something like that. I sometimes will just do it by the domain. If I have like my intake fishbowl on many domains, I just say WP Launchify or, launch flows. Create an email action, discount code, keep it simple. All right. Three minutes max. Let's talk about the newsletter part of it because we've already done the other stuff with how to do a coupon and so forth. So the difference here is we're going to use the newsletter feature built into Fluent CRM. Couldn't be any easier. I use this over here at 1wd.tv, and you will notice that every single one of these Friday office hours is archived in a brilliant, easy way to share later. So if you create a series of newsletters, you can share the whole kit and caboodle. You can sell or control access to these, or you can just do them as a way to reference back. So you can see like today's event, we click on it, guess what? There's the copy of what you got in your email. Great content. If you do the same thing, send you the newsletter in an email, let you get to the archive. That's how the big boys and girls do it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a documented page or something that's a campaign. If we do a newsletter as a page, we can still reference it by a URL, but it's better to do it as a campaign. So we go to campaign and we create a new one. And I'm going to call this newsletter issue number 1. You could call it anything you want because you notice from my thing, I just call it like the compelling headline. Here is where you're going to publish your cool content, your cool newsletter stuff here. Now, what's neat is because this is Gutenberg, it pretty much will accept almost anything you want to put in there and it won't butcher it too badly. So for example, if I went back over here, for those of you who are using Elementor or in the past using Elementor, watch this. I'm not saying it's perfect, but if you were to go over here and take stuff, you can pretty much almost copy verbatim the stuff. So what I do is I just hold my left mouse button down. I'm not sure how well this will convert, but we're going to take a chance. And I'm just going to paste this in. That's pretty awesome, wasn't it? Like, you guys are sweating the details. And I just say 150 pixels. Like, come on. This is the whole magic right here. I'm mic drop. I'm done. This is why going to IKEA or the Lego store or Lunch Kit is awesome. Because it doesn't matter where you go. You can go to my full pattern library. You can find anything, anywhere. You can crazy. As long as the plugins are installed from the Launch Kit, you could take crazy stuff and do it. Or you can do even better, copy the pattern code. And the idea is I'm saving you from having to reinvent the stuff working together. This works out to be a great example of that. So here's my newsletter 1. It's got the title. I'm going to have this sent out to somebody who subscribes. Who are the people that subscribe? Well, let's talk about the segmentation. So we save this campaign, and later we'll have a second and a third episode or issue and so forth. We then go to the point of like, A/B testing and all these other cool tools. Like, what's the subject? Newsletter 1 is out. Okay. And you can use template tags here, like we talked about, right? Hey, blankety blank. Hey, that was a bad copy paste. Hold on. Hey, blankety blank, first name. It seems unhappy with my copying pasting, so I'm going to have to assume copy. There, it's coming out at the end. That's why it's coming out weird. Hey, contact first name, newsletter 1 is out. You can send a test email from here, which I always do to make sure it's looking and feeling as you wish. And then you go to the next step. Here's the segmentation. What is segmentation? Segmentation is back to my example, and I promise I'm wrapping up because I'm 10 minutes over. Remember, we were in the big atrium, the WordPress WordCamp in Maryland. Thousands of people in one room. Hey, everybody from Liquid Web who has Liquid Web tab, come on over here. I want to talk to you for a second. That's segmentation. The tag segment, not the list. So here we just say manually, we're going to go main list, and we need anybody who's got the abandoned cart. I'm sorry, in this case, the newsletter tag. Okay. Let's pretend this was the newsletter tag. So when they signed up on that homepage, I gave them a newsletter tag because they should continue to get any campaigns, any emails that I segment out. And this is going to by itself filter them. I can also exclude other people. So like everybody with the newsletter tag, but not anybody who's got the automatic tag or something. And I can also do what's called dynamic. So dynamic is something that I create a pre-made list with a bunch of rules, and I just use this again and again. Super convenient. And then advanced filter is like similar to what we just talked about, where I can do like really granular. Like I only want to send this to people who have a WooCommerce order with more than $5 or something. I almost always just go by list and tag. That's enough. And then you continue, and it's giving you the chance to review it. I'd have to choose somebody who exists. Let's do people who have abandoned cart tag. And in doing so, I get to choose, am I ready to send this? How do I want to send this? I need to have the SMTP set up. So this is not going to work for right now, but that's okay. Let's do our third recipe real quick. I want to emphasize, keep it simple. When you get the email from me, it's exactly like, this is it, right? I mean, hey, it's Spence. I got 3 things I do. I rarely do more than 30 seconds to finish reading. And everybody sees that it's a video link and they click and they go to it. Okay. Do that. Do not do anything that requires somebody to more than just like really quick get the gist of it, because that would be like the annoying friend who won't stop asking you the same questions. Okay. All right. And then finally, the last recipe, customer segmentation and targeted campaigns. Now, I'll be brief with this, but this is an example of how, because we know who people are, we can actually do the segmentation based upon the different tags they have. So for example, I can do this. I showed this last week. This is one of my clients doing tremendously well with this kind of modern automation. If we go to Mother Earth Labs, this is our new setup. I want to show you something, because you can dynamically present stuff based upon the journey somebody has taken. So the automation follow-up is different for whoever they are. Here we have retail customers or wholesale customers. And in this particular case, depending on which tag somebody has, they will see something different. And I won't go into too much detail, but right now I'm not logged in. If I was logged in and I go here, I would not, as a wholesale customer, see this one-time option or the subscribe option. I would see just add to cart. I would not see the buy 3 and save 15%. And similarly, the discounts that apply would be different, because the tags allow me to be treated as a wholesale customer versus a retail customer with different offers for different people. This applies on the website as well as in the email. So when we talk about marketing automation, this was one of the things that I'm going to show you that you can do immediately to say, hey, special wholesale customer, I got a thing for you that nobody else can see. Notice 3-pack discount, remove, and so forth. I'm going to do something here so I can show this to you, because I'm going to take this out. I'm going to log into the site and I'm going to show you what it looks like if I switch to being a different type of a customer. and then we'll wrap this one up. Okay, so if I go into here and I go into my shop, I can use the preview with tag feature here from WP Fusion that allows me to show a different thing. Notice this is like a retail customer. Now, boom, I got the wholesale discount because I've got the wholesale tag. And if I go back to the previous page with the product, you will see that I no longer have the option of buying a subscription. I only have the wholesale option. Because of time, I'm going to wrap this one up because I saw the audience drop off by 50%, which is in all fairness. All we're doing here is the same idea, but instead of doing it through the email, we're using tags to distinguish between what people can buy. And that is typically done inside of the pages or inside of the blocks themselves. I'm not going to do the full thing here, but I want to just give you a sense of that. So if I go here to add a new page, I can distinguish what people see at the page level by using the tags in WP Fusion in the right sidebar. So here's some content that segments. On the right-hand side with WP Fusion, I could say they must be logged in and they need to have, remember, sample tag 1 to see this whole page. Otherwise, I will send them to the shop, or I will send them to the My Account area, or I could send them to an outside URL. Okay. Alternatively, I cannot predict, or I'm sorry, segment people on the whole page. I'll segment people based upon the content. So here I can use the WP Fusion dynamic content block, and I can use either or. So if somebody has the sample tag 1, then they will see what I put in the top row here. Stuff you see if you have the tag. And in the bottom, I can put the alternative. Stuff you see if you don't have the tag or are not logged in. And so this is a way of granularly protecting and segmenting within content, similar to what we're doing in the email. All right, I want to wrap it up by saying thanks for everybody who's allowing me the discretion to try these new things. I don't want to go over an hour today. I just had a lot of stuff to cover, and I wanted to do it from scratch because one of the things that's so important to me is figuring out where's the sweet spot. I've been delivering pre-made solutions to a lot of you guys, and the problem is it's taking more time sometimes to undo the pre-made stuff than to do what I did today, which is to just start with the ingredients, show you how and why, and just click, 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 and start. So I'd love your feedback on this, especially Julie and a couple of the other folks who are new clients of mine. I would love for you to keep me posted on if this is helpful, because what I'm trying to do is do my build in public with your feedback. I've been doing this for 20 years. And this is something that I really feel in the WordPress world has never been more pertinent because I can eliminate all of the drama, but I do need your feedback. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the next video. If you have not otherwise joined, come try LaunchKit today. I'll see you on the next one.